It was a warm summer evening in the small town of Millfield, where the air was filled with the laughter of children playing and the distant hum of cicadas. The town square was bustling with activity as families enjoyed the weekly farmers' market. Stalls lined the cobblestone streets, offering everything from fresh produce to handmade crafts. Among the crowd was Sarah, a young mother, with her 6-year-old daughter, Lily. Sarah had always cherished these moments, watching Lily's eyes light up with wonder at the vibrant colors and lively atmosphere. They had just finished buying a basket of strawberries when Lily spotted an ice cream stand across the street. "Mommy, can I have some ice cream?" Lily pleaded, her eyes wide with excitement. Sarah smiled and nodded. "Of course, sweetheart. But hold my hand while we cross the street." As they approached the curb, a loud honk shattered the peaceful ambience. Sarah's heart skipped a beat as she saw a car speeding down the road, heading straight for the crosswalk where Lily was already halfway across. "Lily, stop!" Sarah screamed, but her voice was lost in the chaos. Time seemed to slow as Sarah watched in horror. Out of nowhere, a man sprinted into the street, scooping Lily into his arms just in time to avoid the oncoming vehicle. They tumbled to the ground on the other side of the street, safe but shaken. Sarah rushed over, her heart pounding in her chest. "Oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much." She reached out to take Lily from the man's arms. As the man looked up, Sarah's breath caught in her throat. She knew that face. It was a face she hadn't seen in years, one she thought she would never see again. "Michael?" she whispered, her voice trembling with a mixture of shock and disbelief. Michael looked equally stunned. "Sarah? It's been a long time." The noise of the bustling market seemed to fade away as Sarah and Michael stood there, locked in a moment of mutual recognition and astonishment. Lily clung to Sarah, her small hands gripping tightly as she buried her face in her mother's dress. Sarah found her voice first. "Michael, I can't believe it's you. What are you doing here?" Michael stood up, dusting off his jeans. "I moved back a few months ago. Needed a change of pace." He glanced at Lily, who was now peeking out from behind Sarah's leg. "I'm just glad I was here today." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes as she hugged Lily tightly. "I can't thank you enough. You saved her life." Michael shrugged, a modest smile playing on his lips. "Anyone would have done the same." "No, not everyone," Sarah insisted, her eyes meeting his. "It's been so long. I didn't think I'd ever see you again." Before Michael could respond, a crowd began to gather, murmuring about the near miss. The driver of the car, a young man with a panicked expression, approached them, stammering apologies. "I'm so sorry. I didn't see her until it was too late," he said, his voice shaking. Michael waved him off. "Just be more careful next time. You almost caused a tragedy." The young man nodded vigorously and backed away, clearly shaken. "Mommy, can we go home?" Lily's small voice broke the tension. Sarah nodded, still holding Lily close. "Yes, sweetheart. Let's go home." She turned to Michael, hesitating for a moment. "Would you like to join us for dinner?" "I'd love to catch up." Michael seemed taken aback, but then smiled. "I'd like that, Sarah. I'd like that a lot." As they walked back to Sarah's house, the conversation flowed easily between them, filled with memories and shared experiences. Sarah learned that Michael had spent the last few years traveling and working in different cities, trying to find a place where he felt he belonged. He had finally returned to Millfield, drawn back by the simplicity and warmth of his hometown. When they arrived at Sarah's cozy, 2-story house, she busied herself in the kitchen, preparing a simple meal while Lily played with her toys in the living room. Michael watched Sarah move about the kitchen, a sense of nostalgia washing over him. It felt like old times, but with an added depth that came from years of living apart and experiencing life separately. As they sat down to dinner, Sarah finally asked the question that had been on her mind since she saw him. "Michael, Why did you leave all those years ago? Michael sighed, setting down his fork. I needed to find myself, Sarah. I was lost and confused, and I didn't want to drag you into my mess. It wasn't fair to you. Sarah reached across the table, her hand covering his. I missed you. We all did. Michael looked into her eyes, his expression softening. I missed you too. I thought about you every day. As they continued to talk, it became clear that the bond they once shared was still there, stronger than ever. But there was something more, something unspoken that lingered in the air between them. The next few days passed in a blur for Sarah. She couldn't stop thinking about Michael and the events that had brought him back into her life. They began to spend more time together, rekindling their friendship and reminiscing about the past. Lily quickly warmed up to Michael, charmed by his kindness and playful spirit. One evening, as the sun set over Millfield, casting a golden glow over the town, Sarah and Michael sat on her porch, sipping iced tea and watching Lily play in the yard. Do you remember the summer we spent by the lake? Michael asked, a wistful smile on his face. Sarah laughed, nodding. How could I forget? We were inseparable back then. Those were some of the best days of my life. Michael's smile faded slightly. I wish I could go back and do things differently. I regret leaving the way I did. Sarah placed a comforting hand on his arm. We all have regrets, Michael. But what matters is that you're here now. He looked at her, a hint of sadness in his eyes. There's something I need to tell you, Sarah. Something I've kept to myself for a long time. Sarah's heart skipped a beat. What is it? Michael took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. The reason I left wasn't just about finding myself. I found out something that changed everything. I discovered I had a sister, a twin sister, who was adopted by another family at birth. Sarah gasped. A twin sister? How did you find out? My parents finally told me the truth just before I left town. I felt betrayed, confused. I needed to find her, to understand who I was and why they kept it a secret. I spent years searching for her, but I never found her. Sarah squeezed his hand. That must have been so hard for you. I'm so sorry, Michael. He nodded, his gaze distant. It was. But I've come to terms with it. I realized that my true family, the people who cared about me, were here all along. Just then, Lily ran up to them, holding a small bouquet of wildflowers. Look, Mommy. I picked these for you and Mr. Michael. Sarah smiled, taking the flowers from her daughter. Thank you, sweetheart. They're beautiful. Lily beamed, then looked at Michael. Mr. Michael, will you stay for dinner again? Michael glanced at Sarah, who nodded encouragingly. Of course, Lily. I'd love to. As they headed inside, Sarah felt a sense of hope and renewal. Michael's return had brought unexpected challenges and revelations, but it also offered a chance for healing and new beginnings. That night, after Lily was tucked into bed, Sarah and Michael sat together on the porch once more, the cool night air filled with the sounds of crickets and distant laughter. There's something else I need to tell you, Sarah, Michael said quietly. Sarah looked at him, her heart pounding. What is it? He hesitated, then spoke. I still love you, Sarah. I never stopped. Sarah felt a rush of emotions, her mind racing. Michael, Before she could finish, he gently took her hand. You don't have to say anything now. I just wanted you to know. Whatever happens, I'm here for you and Lily. Tears filled Sarah's eyes as she squeezed his hand. Thank you, Michael. I'm glad you're here. As they sat together under the stars, the future seemed uncertain, but for the first time in years, Sarah felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps, with Michael by her side, they could face whatever came their way. The days turned into weeks, and Sarah, Michael, and Lily fell into a comfortable routine. Michael became a regular presence in their lives, and the bond between him and Lily grew stronger each day. However, beneath the surface of their newfound happiness, Unresolved questions and lingering secrets loomed. One afternoon, as Sarah and Michael strolled through the local park with Lily, they encountered an elderly woman sitting on a bench, feeding the ducks. She looked up and smiled warmly at them. "Good afternoon," she greeted. "What a lovely family you have." Sarah returned the smile. "Thank you. It's a beautiful day, isn't it?" The woman nodded, her eyes twinkling with curiosity. "It certainly is. You know, you remind me of someone I used to know." Michael stiffened slightly, a flicker of recognition crossing his face. "Excuse me, but do we know each other?" The woman studied him for a moment. Then her expression softened. "You're Michael, aren't you? Michael Thompson?" Michael's jaw dropped. "Yes, that's me. How do you know my name?" The woman's smile widened. "I knew your mother. We were friends a long time ago. My name is Margaret." Sarah watched the exchange with growing interest. "Margaret, it's lovely to meet you. How did you know Michael's mother?" Margaret's gaze turned distant, as if she were peering into the past. "We grew up together. She was a wonderful woman. I've often wondered what happened to her children." Michael's face grew somber. "She passed away a few years ago. I've been trying to piece together the family history she never told me about." Margaret nodded sympathetically. "I'm so sorry to hear that. There were always whispers about a secret in your family, something your parents kept hidden. I never knew what it was." Michael's heart pounded. "Do you know anything about a twin sister?" "I found out I had a sister who was adopted at birth." Margaret's eyes widened with surprise. "A twin sister? I never heard about that. But your mother did confide in me about an adoption. She said she had to give up a child when she was very young. I never knew it was a twin." Sarah squeezed Michael's hand. "This is incredible, Michael. You're getting closer to the truth." Michael nodded, a mix of hope and frustration in his eyes. "Thank you, Margaret. Any information you have means a lot to me." Margaret patted his hand gently. "I wish I could tell you more. But sometimes, the answers we seek come from the most unexpected places." As they walked away from the park, Michael felt a renewed determination to uncover the truth about his sister. Sarah could see the resolve in his eyes and knew that she would support him every step of the way. Later that evening, as they sat in Sarah's living room, Michael shared his thoughts. "I have to find her, Sarah. My sister. I feel like it's the missing piece of my life." Sarah nodded, her heart aching for him. "We'll find her, Michael. Together." Michael took a deep breath, his expression softening. "You've always been my anchor, Sarah. I don't know what I would do without you." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "And you've always been my rock, Michael. We'll face this together, just like we always have." As the night grew darker, they sat in silence, comforted by each other's presence. The journey ahead was uncertain, but with their shared strength and love, they knew they could face whatever challenges came their way. In the weeks that followed, Michael and Sarah embarked on a quest to find Michael's twin sister. They combed through old records, contacted adoption agencies, and followed every lead they could find. Each step brought them closer together, strengthening their bond and deepening their understanding of one another. One sunny morning, while Lily was at school, Michael received a phone call that would change everything. Sarah watched his face as he listened, his eyes widening with each passing moment. "Are you sure?" he asked, his voice trembling with anticipation. "Thank you so much. We'll be there right away." He hung up and turned to Sarah, his expression a mix of excitement and nerves. "They found her, Sarah. They found my sister." Sarah's heart leapt. "That's incredible, Michael. Where is she?" "She's living in a neighboring town, just an hour away. Her name is Emily, and she's been looking for me too." Without wasting a moment, they arranged to meet Emily at a cafe halfway between their towns. As they drove, Michael's mind raced with thoughts of what his sister might be like and how this reunion would unfold. When they arrived, Michael's eyes scanned the cafe, finally landing on a woman sitting by the window, nervously glancing at the door. She had the same eyes, the same dark hair. There was no mistaking it. "Emily?" Michael called out, his voice breaking slightly. The woman looked up, tears welling in her eyes. "Michael?" They rushed to each other, embracing tightly as years of separation melted away. Sarah watched from a distance, tears streaming down her face at the beautiful reunion unfolding before her. After a few moments, Michael introduced Sarah to Emily. "This is Sarah, my best friend. She's been my rock through all of this." Emily smiled warmly at Sarah. "Thank you for being there for my brother. It means the world to me." Sarah hugged Emily. "I'm so happy to meet you. Michael's been searching for you for so long." They sat down together and Emily began to share her story. She had grown up in a loving adoptive family, but had always felt a piece of her was missing. When she turned 21, she started searching for her biological family, but it had taken years to finally find a lead. "I never stopped thinking about you, Michael," Emily said, holding his hand. "I always knew I had a brother out there somewhere." Michael's eyes filled with tears. "I felt the same way. I just wish I had known sooner." As they talked, the pieces of their family history started to come together. Emily shared letters and photographs from their birth parents, painting a picture of a young couple faced with an impossible choice. It was clear they had loved their children deeply, even though circumstances had forced them apart. When they returned to Millfield, Emily joined them for dinner, meeting Lily and fitting seamlessly into their lives. It felt as if she had always been a part of their family. One evening, as they sat together on Sarah's porch, the stars twinkling above, Michael turned to Sarah with a smile. "Sarah, I've been thinking a lot about the future. Finding Emily has filled a huge gap in my life, but there's still one thing I need to make it complete." Sarah looked at him, her heart racing. "What's that, Michael?" He took her hands in his eyes filled with love. "I want us to be a family, Sarah. You, me, Lily, and Emily. Will you marry me?" Sarah's eyes widened in surprise and joy. "Oh, Michael, yes. Yes, I'll marry you." They embraced, tears of happiness flowing freely. Lily and Emily joined them, and the four of them stood together, united by love and the promise of a future filled with hope and possibility. As they looked up at the stars, they knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together as a family. And in that moment, everything felt exactly as it should be. I hope you liked this story. Please subscribe to this channel for more content. And by the way, if you want to learn how to make money with the internet, I put a link down below in the comments for more information. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you on the next one.